UFC 295, Prohaska versus Pereira, Madison Square Garden, MSG, New York City. I'll start at the bottom of the card, make my way up to the top, as I always do. Breaking this one down, Dennis Bazooka versus Jamal Emmers at a catchweight for the first fight of the night. Jamal Emmers missed weight. I'm still going to pick Emmers to win. Emmers is a better fighter than Dennis Bazooka. Bazooka, he does come forward. I understand he has that ability to pressure and make this kind of like a dirty, um, kind of stylistic fight. But I think Emmers is like he's better than his record indicates for sure. He almost beat Pat Sabatini 2 years ago. Jack Jenkins, he should have won that fight. Split decision against Giga, and then he has wins over Hussein Ashkabov, kind of a fraud, and Vince Cachero. But Dennis Bazooka, he just hasn't like the first good fighter. I know he's fought Sean Woodson on super short notice. It was like 4 days notice, so I don't want to like take anything completely away from him. Like he did what he could on barely any notice, but he really just got beat up in that fight. And before that, he only fought regional level guys. This is the first UFC caliber fighter that Bazooka's been fighting. Um, Besides, I guess Sean Woodson, but I think Emmers is even better. So I'm going with Jamal Emmers to get it done over three. Bazooka can make this a tough fight, but I don't see him winning. Um, Next fight, Joshua Van and Kevin Borjas. I'm going to go with Joshua Van. Borjas, I mean, he's got decent striking. His grappling or his takedown defense isn't really amazing. He got taken down quite a few times on the Contender Series against Victor Diaz. Van, they're both young. Anything can happen. It's not a super confident pick. I just think he looked really good in his fight against Zaga Sumagulov, who's an experienced UFC fighter. Won that fight. It was a split decision, but like he really he deserved a unanimous win. It was pretty clear that he was the one that did more and got the job done. And I actually picked Zalgas, I believe, in that fight too. But uh, Van, I do believe he is like for only being 22 years old. I mean, he's got a good game. Um, Pretty decent grappling from what I've seen. He did submit Cleveland McLean, which is I guess it's a regional guy, but still coming into the UFC 17-9. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with Joshua Van here. I think Joshua Van will be a step ahead, more power on the feet, and possible chance for a KO. Kyung Ho Kang and John Castaneda. I was a little bit back and forth on this one. I'm going to go with John Castaneda, though. Part of the reason why I know John Castaneda asked for he wanted to add on a few pounds so he didn't have to cut the extra weight to 136. But regardless of that, I think he should be able to win here. Kyung Ho Kang, if you look at his record, let's be honest, his record's been pretty padded. I know he is 8-3 in the UFC, and you think like that's really good. And I mean, it is very good to go 8-3 in the UFC. But look at some of the guys he's beaten. Christian Quinones, all right, that's a decent prospect. Baccarel Danaz, kind of, mediocre. Ronnie Yaya, an old Ronnie Yaya, he got taken down by. All he had to do was just keep it on the feet, and he couldn't do that. Um, he's just winning against like Brandon Davis, terrible fighter, winning by split. And then you have John Castaneda on the other hand, who nearly knocked out Daniel Santos with a head kick. He's a southpaw, and his left head kick is it's gotten a few guys. He's caught a few guys with that head kick. Muin Gafravi caught with that head kick. Daniel Santos rocked him bad multiple times, almost had him out of there in the first round. I just don't think Kyung Ho Kang is going to be able to deal with that style of John Castaneda. I don't think this really plays out in the grappling a lot. Kyung Ho Kang does have a lot of submissions on his record. John Castaneda is a good wrestler. I think that kind of matches itself out. I don't think, if anything, I think Castaneda could get top time here. Um, but I would imagine this is probably going to be mostly a striking fight in which Castaneda gets the better of Kyung Ho Kang. Um, either wins either wins by knockout, probably in like second or third round, or he just gets the decision. Is what I'm going to say for this one for Castaneda. Jared Gordon and Mark Madsen. Um, Look, I don't think Mark Madsen's great. He's 39 years old. He's not training at a fight ready anymore. Jared Gordon, say what you want about Jared Gordon. He can't finish anybody. I don't, how many finishes does he even have in the UFC? Uh, One, knockout win in the UFC. Um, but yeah, he doesn't finish anybody, but he is a solid striker, training out of Killcliff. Younger guy than Mark Madsen. Mark Madsen, let's be honest, that last fight against Grant Dawson, I mean, they both got out grappled badly by Grant Dawson, but like that Mark Madsen fight was really uninspiring considering he is an Olympic wrestler, um, and got absolutely mauled by Grant Dawson in that manner. But uh, Dawson missed weight, and I believe that was a short notice fight, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Before that, though, he's just beating old guys. He's beating old guys or guys that don't belong. Vince Michelle's old, Clay Guida old, Austin Hubbard doesn't belong. Jared Gordon, you could say whatever you want about Gordon. Leonardo Santos was old, but Paddy Pimblett, he should have won the fight, regardless if Paddy Pimblett was hurt or not. People say Pimblett was, or I guess Pimblett actually was hurt in that fight early on, but still, Gordon did win the fight, or he should have won. Bobby Green, listen, I'm not going to say Jared Gordon would have won the fight based off of one round, but Jared Gordon was getting the better of Bobby Green in the first round. Probably would have won the first round if he didn't get headbutted and knocked out from that. Um, but was looking pretty decent in the first round of that fight, So, and then wins a split over Joe Solecki. He's fought some pretty, much better opponents, I would say, than Mark Madsen. Obviously, they both have a similar opponent who they lost to in Grant Dawson. But besides that, Jared Gordon's fought a lot better level of competition. I believe he's training with a very good level of competition at Killcliff, getting really good looks in the gym. I just don't think Mark Madsen, and also Mark Madsen doesn't even always use his wrestling. Um, and I don't think he has the ability to control a black belt like Jared Gordon on the mat. Gordon's a better striker. Mark Madsen, even if he does get him down, Gordon, could probably find his way back to his feet pretty easily. I think this is a clear spot for Gordon. I don't know why people are like, I don't see Madsen winning this fight. I've been shocked that I've been seeing some people like give him more credit. I mean, he deserves credit. He's an Olympian, everything, but like, come on, he's way way worse on the feet. Unless Jared Gordon absolutely, declines rapidly after that headbutt knockout from Bobby Green. Like, unless he just is like completely toasted, I mean, he should be able to beat Mark Madsen in the striking, I would imagine. So give me Jared Gordon here. I don't know why, like, some people were. This line was down, like, earlier in the week, it was down like a minus 170. I think it was minus 170. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I thought Jared Gordon should have been like minus 250. Um, he absolutely should win that fight. Nazim Sadikov versus Vyacheslav Borshev. Vyacheslav Borshev, for those that don't know Slava Claus, go watch his previous fights. Do yourself, a favor and go watch those fights because those are very well. Don't watch the Mark A. Casey fight for sure. Definitely don't watch that. Mark A. Casey just likes to hug people on the ground, doesn't do any damage. But watch his other fights, especially his win. Chris Duncan, watch that one. Dakota, like the way he can knock people out, the way he can put the hands on people, it's just ridiculous. He's a very good kickboxer. Um, like his timing and some of like the setups he uses for his boxing is just so clean. Beats Mahashate, was dropped him a few times, beat him up the whole fight. Listen, I think Nazim Sadikov is a very good fighter. I think Nazim Sadikov, if I knew he could go out there and wrestle, if he was a wrestler, I'd probably pick him to win. But I think his grappling is better than Slava's, but I don't think he has the wrestling to just take down Slava over and over. I don't know if he has a gas tank to do that. He hasn't shown an ability to wrestle yet, so I have no knowledge of him doing that. if I knew if I knew Nazim Sadikov had the ability to go out there and just wrestle him, if he showed that in previous fights that he can go to that path, then maybe I would pick him. But he likes to strike. He's a striker. So is Slava. Even if he tries to wrestle early, he might get tired doing that if Slava can, survive and stop some of the takedowns late. Um, I just think Slava Claus should win this fight. In the striking, I believe he's massively better. Um, Nazim Sadikov's a brawler. Slava Claus is, he can get into a brawl, but it's more of like a technical brawl, like where he's throwing bombs, but they're like educated bombs, not leaving himself open and everything like that. He's very, very, very good striker. Um, and I just don't see Nazim Sadikov just holding him on the ground. I just don't. I could see him maybe taking him down once or twice, but I don't know if he's going to be able to just like. Is he going to backpack Slava? I know people in his gym, Aljo, and I know Aljo does that, but like, is he going to go out there and just out grapple Slava for 3 rounds? It's hard to think about that. I'm going to go with Slava here. If this is a striking fight, I favor him massively. And Nazim hasn't shown an ability, or hasn't at least shown yet, that he can outgrab. I mean, the Terrence McKinney fight, I know you can point to that fight, but Terrence McKinney was done after the first round. He's done in every fight. His 5 minutes. Once he gets in the second round, he just slows down rapidly, and he's basically just doesn't want to be in there. So Slava Claus doesn't give up. Uh, I think it. I just think that Nazim Sadikov, as good as he is, because he is a pretty like solid fighter, I think this on the feet is Slava's all day. So I want to pick him to win here. Mateus Rebecki versus Roosevelt Roberts. I spent a little bit more time on the last one. I won't spend too much time on this one. Roberts missed weight. It doesn't matter. It's Rebecki's fight all the way. We know what's going to happen here. I'm not going to even talk much about it. I guess the only way could Roosevelt Roberts outstrike Rebecki? Probably not on this amount of notice. I don't even think he's able to stop the takedowns either. Like I just think Rebecki's just you know, should be able to beat him striking or, just out wrestling him and beating him in that aspect. But Roberts, he's not a terrible fighter. He's just not, I don't think he's on the level of Rebecki. I'm going to keep it short there. Rebecki's going to win the fight. Um, Tabitha Ricci, Lupita Godinez. Another one similar to the Nazim and Slava one. It's one where I'm like, I mean, I see both sides of the picture, but there's one where I'm thinking like, this is the person who should win, and for me, that's Lupita Godinez. I think Lupita Godinez should win this fight. I understand why some people are on Tabitha Ricci, but Lupita Godinez, she has the wrestling, right? Which she should use defensively if she has to. I don't think she should use offensive wrestling in this fight. I think Tabitha Ricci is definitely a very dangerous grappler, a good grappler. So she shouldn't even go to the grappling or the wrestling. I think she just outstrikes her on the feet. She's shown an ability to outstrike people, um, and she has pretty decent striking. I mean, she likes to go to that a lot. She was in a lot of her fights when she should have been wrestling hard. She decided to strike. I think here she just should go out and strike for 3 rounds. Tabitha Ricci, her fight against Jillian Robertson, like just watching, it's like it wasn't really impressive to me, really at all. I think if Lupita Godinez is in there, she has against Tabitha Ricci. I just thought like she'll be way ahead on the feet, which is where I think this fight will take place. I just can Tabitha Ricci just outpoint her to a decision. I mean, maybe, but I would imagine Lupita Godinez lands the better shots and wins in the striking over 3. So that's what I'll say here. Steve Urseg and Alessandro Costa. Um, Steve Urseg for me is going to be the pick. David Dvorak, he beat David Dvorak, who's say what you want about David Dvorak. He's a top 15, or was a top 15 fighter, right? He was a top 15 fighter, and Dvorak actually he wasn't bad. I mean, he had some losses in the UFC, but he had quite a few wins as well. And Steve Urseg, in his debut, went out there and beat him. Now he's fighting Alessandro Costa, who I believe is a step down from Dvorak. I know different styles make fights, but I don't think Alessandro Costa. I think Steve Urseg's the rightful favorite here. I think the grappling, negates itself. I think this is probably a striking fight where Urseg just, applies the pressure and lands more volume than Alessandro Costa and gets the decision win. Alessandro Costa did get knocked out by Amir Albazi. I just think Steve Urseg's a guy who will come forward, apply the pressure, and get the job done. I'll say probably by a decision would be my guess there. Starting off the main card, we have Pat Sabatini versus Diego Lopez. Um, I embarrassed myself, like completely embarrassed myself by picking against Pat Sabatini in his last. I don't know what I was thinking. I knew Sabatini was the like. I don't understand what I was like, what the thought in my mind was for picking. Um, who even was it? Picking Lucas Almeida, just terrible, terrible. Sabatini went out there, dominated him, made it look easy, made him look like a wipeout. To be honest, that's how easy he made it look. So good win for Sabatini there, but against Diego Lopez, tough guy to out grapple. You know, I've been more and more impressed with Pat Sabatini's grappling, especially after he proved me wrong that much in his last fight. I think the worry is if he gets, if he's stuck on the feet. I don't think he's going to be stuck on the feet because Diego Lopez accepts getting taken down and tries to use his jiu-jitsu. I don't think he I don't think his takedown defense is good enough to be able to withstand the takedowns of Sabatini anyway. So I think Sabatini will be able to get takedowns when he wants to. But is he able to, is Lopez going to be able to be effective off his back against a guy with the top pressure and the control of Pat Sabatini? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Pat Sabatini wins here. The line's closing, minus 120 on Sabatini now. If the line flips, if Sabatini's an underdog, I would say that's probably a pretty good underdog if you can find him at underdog odds. Because I do think he has a clear. I mean, listen, Lopez is better on the feet. I understand that. He has the power, but Sabatini's fought guys with power before. He just takes them down, can just out grapples them. Um, I don't think he's going to make it look easy, but I think he can out grapple Diego Lopez for 3 rounds. It's tough, but I think it's something that he can just go out and do. So I'm going to go with Pat Sabatini. Um, we have the steamroller, Matt Frivola versus Benoit Saint Denis. I was on Benoit Saint Denis in his last fight against Thiago Moises. I said Benoit Saint Denis just has something about him. I think he's just going to walk through Moises or just, apply pressure and Moises is going to give up. That was what I thought. And Benoit Saint Denis went out there and just beat up Thiago Moises. So great win for Benoit Saint Denis. In this fight, it's tough to go in there and beat up Matt Frivola. I'm going with Matt Frivola. I think Matt Frivola goes in there and steamroll. I don't know about steamrolls, but I think he can actually finish. Well, I guess that would be a steamroll. I think he does finish Benoit Saint Denis. I think Benoit Saint Denis is too hittable. Matt Frivola's got very, very, he has a lot of power, and his boxing has improved a lot. Like, just his hand, how much, he can connect with his last 3 fights. Drew Dober, knocked out Drew Dober. Otman Zaitar and Gennaro Valdez beat all 3 of them. The Drew Dober knockout was the one where I'm like, I picked him to beat Drew Dober. I didn't think he would go out there and knock him out. I thought he could, implement some wrestling and outpoint him a little bit, but I didn't think he would go out there and do that. I think Benoit Saint Denis, he is very good. He shouldn't be this much of a favorite. Minus 235 is completely disrespectful to Matt Frivola. Plus 185, just it's disrespect. It's disrespect is what it is. He's been knocked out before, which is why the line is this wide. But if he doesn't get knocked out here, well, I guess you could say that about both guys. But man, Frivola can hit hard, and Benoit Saint Denis gets hit. And I think Frivola, like Benoit Saint Denis, might be able to do some damage to Matt Frivola, but at range, it's Frivola easily. I think Benoit Saint Denis is going to have to try to grapple here. And if he tries to grapple or tries to get it to the mat, Frivola can wrestle really well. So I'm going with Matt Frivola, big underdog. I don't think he deserves to be an underdog that much at all. I think the line should be close to a pick 'em. Jessica Andrade and Mackenzie Dern. Um, this should be pretty clear. I mean, I get the people saying, well, Andrade, if you think Andrade isn't just doing this for a check, if you think she's actually, her head's still in the game, then I understand why you're picking her just based off her skill set. But Dern's been training with Cejudo. All she has to do is just take down Jessica Andrade probably once and it's over. Jessica Andrade is not the grappler that Dern is. She's been submitted before. Erin Blanchfield outstruck her on the feet in their fight, which is wild. In the first round, she was losing the striking to Blanchfield, and then goes out there and gets beat by Yan Jianan and Tatiana Suarez. Um, I don't think Dern, it's not smart for Dern to hang out on the feet. I think she should just try to get her down immediately. because as soon as she gets her down, I think she can. I think she should be able to win here. Mackenzie Dern's going to be the pick all the way. You know, the only way I can see someone, like I said, the only way I could see someone picking Andrade is if they think she's not mentally checked out. Coming off of three straight finish losses, I think she is. I think Dern wins this fight. Um, yeah, Mackenzie Dern's going to win. Co-main event: Sergey Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall. Book it. Well, Tom Aspinall, I'm picking to win the fight. Tom Aspinall, it's his. It scares me. Because he could get chinned, and it would be just a terrible look for me. Well, I mean, I just think if he gets chinned, like it's possible because it's heavyweight MMA, but Sergey Pavlovich could also get chinned. Both of them. I think Pavlovich probably has more power, but you know, Aspinall has a little bit of power. You've seen him like drop guys before and really hurt guys. So I think they both got a lot of power. Probably, like I said, Pavlovich has a little bit more grappling. Um, it's got to be Aspinall, right? I mean, look at Pavlovich. I mean, he got submit or didn't he get ground and pounded out? He did get ground and pounded out by Overeem. So like the Overeem fight, not something to be inspired by. I know it was his UFC debut and everything. I know there's a lot of people that are saying he has all this, he has a wrestling background and this and that. I think Tom Aspinall, if he gets on top of him, will probably be able to finish him or at least do some serious damage on top. Um, the question is, can he get Sergey Pavlovich to the mat? I'm going to say he does. And even if he doesn't, I think he's smart enough to know he can't just strike with him and get in a brawl. I think Aspinall is a smart fighter. I think the guys that Pavlovich has fought don't have the fight IQ that Aspinall does. Curtis Blades, I think he's a good fighter. Like, he's a good wrestler, but he's not Aspinall. I know what you're going to say about the Aspinall. Like, Aspinall, he got hurt against Curtis Blades. People are going to say, oh, he was trying to brawl with, like, it was like a 20-second fight. You can't take anything away from that. But he beats Blades, beats Tai Tuivasa, everyone knows Tai Tuivasa is going to brawl. Everyone knows Derek Lewis is probably going to brawl. The brawl comes to him. Shamil Abdurakhimov, who's like, 50? And Maurice Green. Like, and you could say Tom Aspinall hasn't fought like the most amazing level of competition, but I think the competition level might actually be better for Aspinall. Andrei Arlovsky was sure you could say he was old. Sergey Spivak beat him, who's definitely like a top 10 contender, beat Alexander Volkov, another top 10 contender. And you could say, some of these guys are top 10 contenders, like the Blades fight was a good win for him. But Tuivasa and Derek Lewis, regardless of what they're ranked, we know what they do every single fight. All they're going to do is just try to brawl and knock you out. It's the same thing every single fight, over and over and over. So, I think Aspinall has a better array of wins if you seriously look at it that way. Um, like Alexander Volkov and Sergey Spivak alone, those are two different types of fighters. Alexander Volkov's a very good striker, much better technical striker than Derek Lewis or Tai Tuivasa. And what does he do? He knows that he doesn't want to, mess around too much. Takes him down, submits him, makes it look easy. The other fight, Sergey Spivak, drops him and finishes him. Sergey Spivak being a wrestler. So I think Tom Aspinall, I think he can win this fight against Sergey Pavlovich. I think he could cement himself, throw himself into the conversation for. I guess Jones and Stipe probably will still fight in the future, but uh, I think Aspinall can get it done here. I really do. I know Pavlovich is, a beast, a monster, but like even if this fight does get a little bit extended, I think it favors Aspinall as well. So I'm going with Tom Aspinall. And the main event, the one I've been waiting for the most, Yuri Prohaska versus Alex Pereira. I'm riding with Yuri. Um, I went against Yuri. I went against Yuri. I picked Glover in the last fight, and it was about to come true. The prediction: Glover was about to win, and then Yuri caught him in a rear naked choke in the fifth round and finished Glover Teixeira in one of the best fights I've ever seen. One of the most, one of the best performances from each guy I've ever seen. Such a great fight. an amazing, amazing fight. I think Yuri Prohaska goes out there and finishes Alex Pereira. I think Pereira is excellent. I think his striking is lethal. I think Pereira has an ability to finish Yuri as well. Yuri's been knocked out in the past. There is a way where Alex wins this fight, finds a huge left hook or a huge knockout. I'm not doubting that. He has the technical ability and the power, the massive power to do it. Um, his striking is very dangerous, but Yuri's not going to play that game. Like he's not technical, but he's not going to stand there and trade with Alex. I think he's going to be in and out. He's going to use a lot of different movement, um, and I think just the unpredictability and just the wildness of Yuri. I think he can find an elbow. He can find like a right. Like I think he finds something that hurts Pereira in this fight, and ultimately he finishes him. Is what I'm going to say. It's a bold prediction, but both guys have the ability to knock each other out at the end of the day. Both these guys have a lot of power. Both these guys are great strikers. And one more kind of caveat to all that. I think if this fight does hit the mat, or if one guy's out grappling the other guy in the championship rounds when both of them are tired, I think Yuri out grapples Alex. Um, he's been doing it longer. He's 29-3, 31 years old to 36-year-old Alex Pereira. I understand why the line is close. Yuri shouldn't be an underdog. I'm picking Yuri Prohaska. Um, I'm picking Yuri Prohaska, and as an underdog, I think that's disrespectful. And I think he knocks out Alex Pereira and gets his belt back. So Yuri Prohaska is the pick. UFC 295, Prohaska and Pereira. Great card. A lot of amazing fights. Can't wait to watch it. Thank you guys all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.